Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in today. So on this channel, I know I bring a lot of car content and DIYs as far as cars, oil changes, maintenance, all that kind of stuff. But this is AB's garage and it's not just intended to be car content. DIYs is a big part of what we do here. So a lot of people, they mow their own grass, they have a lawnmower, but they don't know how to properly maintain it. And that leads to, either getting rid of or expensive repairs on a perfectly good lawnmower if it were to be properly maintained. So instead of, having to buy a new lawnmower every couple of years, there's some very simple maintenance steps will prolong the life of your lawnmower, and it'll provide a lot of good serviceable life in the years to come. So today I've got my Craftsman M310. It's a self-propelled lawnmower. It's got a Briggs & Stratton overhead valve, single cylinder, 4-stroke engine. It's 163 cc's of displacement. So if you do have this exact lawnmower, everything I do will pertain exactly to you. If you don't, still stick around and kind of get it, and you can get a grasp on what the basic maintenance steps of a lawnmower in this segment would be. So that's any self-propelled or push lawnmower with a single cylinder engine, 4-stroke, and hope you find it very helpful. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you want to do whenever you're doing any sort of maintenance or repairs on a lawnmower is you want to disable the ignition system. You want to do this because if you disable the ignition system, then the blade cannot accidentally turn on if you were to bump it and it gets enough RPM, and it actually, if your dead man handle fails, whatnot. So you always want to be safe when you're doing something like this, because that blade can cut your finger, arm, cut it right off. So to disable the ignition system, again, this is specific to my lawnmower, but the idea is the same. You want to find the spark plug, wherever that's located, up here on the body, the engine portion of the lawnmower, and you're just going to simply find it and pull the plug coil wire, just pull it off, and that disables the ignition system. So now no matter how much you yank on this cord, it won't start the lawnmower. No matter how fast you turn the blade, it's not going to accidentally start. So the basic maintenance steps for what we're going to be doing, this is going to be something you're going to want to do every year on the lawnmower, and that's change the spark plug and change the air filter. The other things we're going to talk about you're going to want to do after or before each time you use it, as well as when it's in storage. So we're going to start with the spark plug, since that's what we just disconnected. So mine right here is right here. So mine actually takes a 5/8 inch socket. I'm just going to break it free. And you can spin it out by hand. And there it is. And as you can see, so lawnmowers and equipment like this, they don't get up to, high operating temperatures. The fuel sits for long periods of time. So that does lead to the spark plug getting some fouling on it, relatively easily. So the longer you go without maintaining this item, the more you're gonna have hard starting. It's gonna smoke potentially, and maybe burn a little bit more fuel or go through fuel faster. So we've got our spark plug. Here's our new spark plug. You're going to want to make sure you got the right spark plug. Again, the part numbers will vary, so you want to make sure you got the right one. But the principle is the same. You're going to want to make sure you have the same amount of threads, thread depth, electrode position, porcelain exposed. And obviously the overall length is going to matter too. I'm just going to install that inside the engine. Once you get the thread started, you can go ahead and you know, you can spin it all the way down by hand. You should be able to do it relatively easily, depending on the age of the equipment. And then it has that little crush washer, so you're going to want to get a nice good seat on it. And that's it. It's very simple, and this is something you can do that it's going to save you a lot of money, you know, taking your lawnmower to a lawnmower repair shop. So we've got the spark plug done. Now we're going to change the air filter. So the air filter on this lawnmower is located on the left side of it, right in front of the fuel tank. Just going to pop this cover off. It's got just a simple plastic tab, and then your filter's right here. And as you can see, it's got a lot of buildup. Smells like fuel. I mean, it definitely needs to be replaced. It's been about a year since I replaced it last. And you also know it has these two holes on this side, which will line up on the lawnmower itself. You simply take your new filter, and it doesn't matter which way it goes, top or bottom, and just line it up. Put the cover back on, make sure the seat's in place, and that completes that portion. All right, so the third and final portion, or maintenance item that you're going to want to do, is going to vary based on your hours that you run the lawnmower. But at a minimum, you want to do this once a year, and that's change the oil. Now on this specific lawnmower, they actually advertise that there's no need for an oil change. You just continue to top off the oil as necessary. Anybody with any sort of mechanical knowledge and common sense, well, you might think, oh, okay, but let's think about that here. These engines have no oil filter. They're run in, one would argue, very, very extreme and harsh conditions. Being a small displacement 4-stroke engine, you know, operating temperatures are very, so it's definitely a good idea to change the oil on these things. So again, this is going to vary by model and lawnmower. On this one, there's actually no drain plug because they advertise that feature. So there are two ways you can go about draining the oil out of this. You can either suck it out of the fill hole, or you can just simply turn the lawnmower over and dump it into a pan. So that's what we're gonna do, because I left my tool to remove the oil out of the crankcase at my job. So I'm not gonna show that on camera. We're gonna go ahead and dump the engine oil into a pan and then proceed with the service. All right, so now we've drained the crankcase of all the oil that we possibly can. I will add, if you choose to do the method where you turn the lawnmower over and dump it, obviously keep the ignition system disabled. We haven't reconnected that plug wire yet, but also you're going to want to do this on a lower or close to empty fuel tank, because the fuel will come out through the intake system. It's just a carburetor. So keep that in mind. If you are going to do the oil change that way, have an empty fuel tank. We've done this a couple times. So it's all ready to add some oil. This engine specifically calls for a 10W30. So we've got the Amsoil 10W30 small engine oil. This is a 100% synthetic. Just because it's a lawnmower and a relatively cheap piece of equipment doesn't mean you should neglect it as far as the quality of the fluid, oils and products that you use in it. You're also going to want to use an oil that's specifically made for small engines, due to the oil being formulated specifically for those harsh conditions that they experience. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and add the oil. Having a funnel also can make this easy. This is actually some oil that I've had left over from the last time I changed it. This oil, it lasts a very long time. I mean, whatever your manufacturer's recommended service hours is for the oil, I mean, I would definitely feel comfortable going twice, if not 3 times that with this oil. It's that good. So because it is a pain to empty the oil, you're definitely going to want to check the oil level periodically as you add some. These ones take around about, I mean, like half a quart, but I always just start with, you know, a little bit and go from there. So just add some and let it run down the fill neck there and let it settle. You don't want to check it. All right, so we're still not on the dipstick. You want to at least get it to where it's on the dipstick before you fire it up for the first time, and then you're going to let it run. A little bit more, and it'll be safe to fire it up. All right. Alright, so we've got oil on the dipstick. It's right about at that first dot. So it's safe to go ahead and fire up. So now that we've added enough oil for it to fire up, we're going to go ahead and connect the plug wire to more or less engage the ignition system. And we're going to go ahead and fire it up and let it run, get some heat in it, and then shut her down, check the oil level, and she'll be good to go. Alright, so we just got letting it run for about 10 minutes to get it up to a nice, decent temperature. While we let the oil drain back down in the crankcase to get an accurate fill or measurement. We're just going to go over some of the other maintenance items or ways to maintain your lawnmower to basically prolong its service life and reduce downtime. That way you don't have to, obviously pay to have anything fixed, or pay somebody else to cut your grass. That can get pretty pricey. Once in a blue moon's not bad, but when you're paying someone a contract or long term, it can get fairly expensive. Let's go over storage. So depending on where you are, there's going to be times of the year where grass doesn't need cut. Basically, if it's a dry season or winter season, obviously you're not going to be cutting your grass in those times because it's not either accessible or growing. So when you're storing your lawnmower, we're going to talk about the fuel. there's two things you can do. You can either store it with an empty fuel tank, or you can store it with fuel, but you're going to want to put a gasoline stabilizer, some sort of gasoline additive in it to help prevent basically the fuel gumming up the carburetor. That's a big thing with these carbureted engines, is long periods of downtime, the fuel just settles, separates, and causes varnish and deposits, which can cause hard starting, smoking, all that kind of thing. So down here in Florida, we don't really have that kind of season where we're not cutting our grass. Basically cutting our grass year round, just it gets heavier in the spring and summertime. So the product we like to use in our lawnmower to keep it in tip-top shape is the Amsoil Quick Shot fuel additive. It's a treatment and a stabilizer. It says for best results, use with every tank, but I just add I add a little dash of it in every tank, and it's never let me down. Specifically, it's going to help prevent water-induced ethanol separation and breakdown, which one way to fight that is to actually run ethanol-free gas. If you can find ethanol-free gas, that is the best thing to run in any sort of small engine, carbureted engine that's going to have a service life like this will, where it's constantly being shut down for long periods of time, even a week or so at a time, and especially over the long periods of immobilization. So you can fix the ethanol separation and water-induced, because alcohol attracts water, and that just leads to even more issues. You're going to have even more buildup in deposits. It's going to clean up dirty and gummy injectors and carburetors, which this is carbureted, so it's going to help with that. Clean carbon deposits and restore engine performance. Again, with these not getting to super high temperatures, deposits form very easily, so you're definitely going to want to put the highest quality of fuel and additives in it that you can. Prevent formation of gum and varnish buildup in the tanks and the fuel system. We kind of already touched on that. And this can actually be used for both 2-stroke and 4-stroke applications. This is a 4-stroke. One bottle will treat up to 6 gallons of gasoline. So again, I just use a little bit per tank. I mean, it's probably got like a 1/4 gallon tank, whatever. So yeah, just a little dash each time, and she runs like a top. Let's see, oil, we've kind of touched on that already. You're going to service that based on the manufacturer's service hours, depending on the oil that you're using the Amsoil. Even down here in Florida, there will be weeks where I cut my grass twice a week. Still 1 year, no issues. And then moving off of the storage topic, after each use, it's always a good idea to hose the equipment down, especially the underside where all the dirt and grass gets built up, because that's going to lead to the paint being eaten at first, and then it becomes the metal getting rusted out and eaten due to the paint, because the paint is the protection from the moisture. So to help with the cleanup process, I actually spray some of this mud slinger from Amsoil on the bottom side of the lawnmower, and it makes spraying off that debris super easy. Obviously get it nice and clean first, scrub it if you have to, and then spray a good amount of this onto it very liberally, and let it sit and cure, and it'll come off like nothing. Specifically, shake, spray evenly and liberally on the desired surfaces. Allow to dry for 15 minutes, wipe off excess, and for an extra barrier, leave wet and do not apply. So you can not even have to wipe it down. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and check the oil level. Just move the dipstick, wipe it off. Get a full seat on it. And you're actually perfect on there. It's right at that first dot. So I'm comfortable with that oil level. So we're good to go. So thanks for watching. Hope you found this video informative and helpful as always. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see more content like this, you know, not just the car stuff, but, you know, like the home items, you know, stuff that pretty much anybody should do and can do with very basic tools. As you saw, we had a ratchet and a socket to do this whole job. Again, some lawnmowers may require removal of the cover and whatnot, but more or less you need very minimal skill and tools to do this kind of stuff. Definitely leave a comment below. If you have any ideas, I'd be happy to try and put something together. Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.